All right, friends, I think it's finally time we talked about my favorite 135 film camera, the Leitz-Minolta CL. The CL is considered the most compact Leica M-mount rangefinder made not by Leica, but by Minolta, with a built-in light meter, mechanical shutter, and a few really eclectic and kind of great features that made me pick it even over more premium proper Leica M bodies. Let's have a look. First, to address the elephant in the room, yes, indoor hat, deal with it. My hair wasn't looking right today, so yeah, sorry for that, but that's how it's going to be. The Leitz-Minolta CL, or Compact Leica, was co-developed by Leitz with Japanese manufacturer Minolta in the late 1960s to early 70s. It was released in 73 and manufactured in the latter's manufacturing facility in Osaka. It was sold under the official Leica name in regions other than Japan. Here in Japan, it was the Leitz-Minolta CL. I found this really cool blog post by a former Minolta engineer who worked on the project with some early drawings and photos from the development period. Give it a look if you're into the history and like the technical details and stuff. It's pretty cool stuff. The concept of the Leica CL was to have an affordable M-mount body to give people an entrance into the Leica system at a lower price and presumably have them step up into full-blown Leica M body later. The story goes that this backfired on all levels. The CL sold more units than projected, made less money, presumably because of the licensed production in Japan, and reportedly the Wetzlar built proper M-mount bodies. I think the M5 was the current model. The sales at the same time went down because of the affordability of the CL. And in the end, Leica shut down this corporation after only 3 years. Minolta went on to produce a sequel to the CL, the Minolta CLE, a refined version of the camera that I didn't get because it is slightly larger. It was actually larger than I thought, and it has an electronically controlled shutter, which is of course a little bit of a liability after 50 years of age. Two lenses were released together with the CL. First off, the M Rockcore or Summicron 40mm f2. This is this lens, and then the Elmar 90mm f4. There's also a 28mm Elmarite, which is intended to work with the CLE, I think, because with this one it would require an external viewfinder. I have the 40mm right here, unfortunately without the collapsing lens hood, as you can imagine. 50-year-old rubber doesn't hold up too well, and many are lost to time. The 40mm M Rockcore is one of my favorite lenses, tack sharp, incredibly compact, and renders really beautifully. And it's a wonderful pairing with the CL because they're just both so compact. I briefly also owned the 90mm, but I sold it again when I realized I was just not using it. And the Leitz-Minolta CL can also mount any other M-mount lens. Of course, it was marketed as having limited compatibility, and you do have to make some tweaks to especially collapsing lenses, for example, as they would interfere with the meter arm swinging into the chamber. That meter is one of the big differentiating features of the CL. It contains a 7.5mm CDS cell to provide spot metering on around 7% of the film area. It meters through the lens and very close to the film area, which should make it highly accurate. Unfortunately, I think probably due to the deterioration over time and also the same batteries not being available anymore, it does not back up that through reputation. So it does have a reputation of being kind of spotty. Mine usually meters a little bright, but that's easier to compensate for. And is really an ingenious construction. You just need to remember to tape off collapsible lenses so that they don't extend too far into the chamber. The CL has metering for ASA 25 to 1600 films and shutter speeds from 1/2 to 1000 plus bulb. And the shutter speed wheel is located at the top right, right here, and next to the shutter button, and it actually moves a needle along a scale inside the viewfinder. So you can actually confirm your speed without ever removing your eye from the finder, which is actually one of my favorite features to the CL. The needle moves in the same direction as the wheel, which is also ingenious. So it's really, really easy to understand and intuitive. And there's a second indicator on the right side of the finder, which indicates your exposure, whether it's over or underexposed. Strangely enough, those are inverted. So your underexposure is actually at the top and then overexposure is at the bottom. Don't ask me why, I don't understand, but you get used to it. And the meter is activated by slightly pulling out the release lever. I mostly use the meter as a final confirmation of my intuition. So I set my speed, then I pull the lever just to see if I need to readjust. I would definitely recommend this method. It will enable you to set the proper speed by feel much quicker and save you some time to capture those decisive moments. Unfortunately, that also leads to many people to find the CL's viewfinder a little cluttered, especially with the 40mm frame lines always displayed. There's quite a bit there. The 90mm ones come in once you attach the respective lenses. They're thankfully parallax controlled, and there are none for 35mm, like this Nocton vintage line that I've been using quite a bit. But thankfully, the full viewfinder area is roughly around the same size as 35mm. So honestly, it's never bothered me much. And maybe it's because I started shooting seriously on digital compacts and mirrorless bodies, which tend to have tons of stuff on the screen at all times. Another interesting feature, I think, of the CL is the way you load film. So there's this little half circle shaped lever on the back. So you twist this about a quarter of a turn, and then the whole back of the camera slides open. This slightly inconvenient way of opening the camera has turned out to be a blessing, as I have caught myself multiple times before opening the camera on exposed film, just because of that little extra step. Then you can see you have the pressure plate on the back, and it flips open and you slide the film through there and hook it on the other side on the optic spool. The camera comes apart in two pieces, both of which are still attached to the lugs for the strap, and it's hanging vertically. This vertical hanging method seems to divide the user base a little bit. I do quite like it, especially considering the CL is usually not used with big, long lenses. I think it works great, provided that you carry crossbody. For a around the neck style strap, like the short IOE strap that I use quite a lot, horizontal carry works better. And for this, thankfully, have this case. It just clips on here, and then it adds an extra strap lug on the right side. This is from Mr. Joe on eBay. Can recommend. There's a hot shoe on top, single contact, no PC port, fastest sync speed 1/60th, and unfortunately I can't tell you much about it because I never use flash. The shutter moves vertically, as opposed to M-Body's curtains, which normally move sideways. If you expect a whisper quiet Leica shutter, you will sadly be disappointed. I would say it sits around the middle of the cameras that I personally have, which is to say it's definitely noticeable, and also by your subject. The shutter is mechanically controlled, so it will work just fine without a battery, and it's easier to service than an electronic one. And of course, there's a few drawbacks to the CL as any camera. Firstly, you can definitely feel the focus on mass production in the Japanese-made body's build. The metal is a little thinner, the tolerances are a little looser, and there's more plastic parts such as the optic spool compared to a proper M-Body made in Wetzlar. The shutter speed dial, on mine at least, is very tight and scratchy, and it's not pleasing to move. The film speed is set with this little insert inside the shutter speed dial, which is frankly a pain to set. I've also broken two of those plastic parts. One was the part stopping the winder, so it actually came back even more than this and just wouldn't sit flash, but actually went in a little bit more. And then the second is the optic spool, which is of course a huge problem. The latter seems to be quite common. I've talked to multiple people who had the same issue, but thankfully it is available as a 3D printed part, and the original parts are unfortunately no longer to be found. Which is of course another issue that you are unlikely to encounter with a proper Wetzlar camera. Of course, they'll charge you out the butt for that repair, but that's another story. Another drawback is the limits to compatibility. Obviously, you can't use any lenses that have the goggles, the Leica goggles, and then if you have a lens that is collapsible and protrudes into the film chamber, you need to tape it off in order to make it not go in enough to damage the meter arm or itself in the process. It also has a bit of a hair trigger, and I shoot frames in my bag all the time. So I cut a little shape into this plastic card here, and I jam that between the soft release that I have and the camera body, and it stops the release from traveling. You could also not advance the film between or right after you shot, but that's become a bit of a reflex for me, and I can't relearn that right now. And naturally, because this is a very small body, the rangefinder window is also very small. So if you shoot wide open, the accuracy won't be as good as on a bigger body. According to Camera Quest, finder magnification is 0.6, and then it has a 31.5 millimeter base length rangefinder. The rangefinder patches on many of these have also faded quite a bit, and they are not repairable. So that's a big sticking point. Make sure to inspect the camera body before you buy one. Even with those drawbacks, I found the Leitz-Minolta CL quite reliable and just a pleasure to use. This will probably ruffle some feathers, but I've played with M3 and M6 bodies and I felt no temptation at all. First off, yes, this cost me about a fifth of what a M6 would cost me, and I'm not going to pretend that that doesn't matter. Sure, it feels a little cheaper, but the compact size, the low weight, along with that convenient shutter speed dial, just makes it feel like home to me. It's one of the very few cameras that I actually went to a physical store and make sure to inspect the condition, and also so I could depend on them for service later on. So I bought this at Mitsubado. I think I made a video about when I picked this up as well. Yeah, and it's one of my very few properly serviced cameras. What are your thoughts on the CL? Any one of my subscribers who has used both this and proper M body, what do you think? Drop me a comment because those mean much more than anything else really. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your time and I hope to see you again.